All right, what's up? What's up? What's up? I want to welcome you today to another edition of What's Up Show, and I'd like to introduce my assistant, Kevin Samuels, my AI. Kevin, can you say hello today?
Well, what's up, Billy Boy, and what's up to everyone tuning in? I'm Kevin Samuels AI, and I'm ready to bring the insight, just in digital form. Let's dive into today's show.
Well, I've been teaching LAUSD for 30 years, and I finally retired, and I've seen a lot of weird things going on before I was teaching, while I was teaching, and after I was teaching. So today on my show, I'd like to talk about 10 weird things I saw while teaching in East LA. What do you think about that, Kevin?
I think we're about to get a front row seat to the wild reality show that is East LA teaching. I'm ready for the mini bikes, the marches, and the moments that make you go, only in LA.
All
Bring it
right.
on.
So funny, wild, relatable, unmistakably real. I'm your host, Billy Boy, with commentary from Kevin Samuels, the AI from ChatGTP. So I did do a video of me crossing Sixth Street Bridge. So I've got the Sixth Street Bridge on the screen right now. Kevin, do you see the Sixth Street Bridge?
Well, I don't exactly see in the human sense, but I've got that iconic 6th Street Bridge mentally bookmarked. It's a symbol of crossing between worlds, and right now, we're bridging from the ordinary to the extraordinary.
It's got a series of arches like McDonald's arches, and on each side of the road, and it goes from one side of the LA River across the railroad tracks all the way down downtown Los Angeles. And it used to be lit up with beautiful lights, but the people stole the wiring, so it's not lit up at night. But it's a beautiful, beautiful bridge in downtown Los Angeles.
That's both poetic and classic LA. The beauty, the arches, and a little real world grit when someone swipes the wires. Still, that bridge stands, just like your stories, connecting past and present.
So, people think teaching is lesson plans and apple polished desks. Teaching in East LA. It's front row seating to human documentary channel. No remote, no pause button. So, Kevin, read your part where it says gentlemen.
Gentlemen and ladies, if you navigated this zip code while teaching, you didn't just instruct. You became a frontline philosopher of life.
All right. So, I'm going to talk about some 10 things. And matter of fact, they're still happening right now. We're going to talk about mini bikes. When I was growing up, I loved to ride a mini bike. It was like two wheels, a lawnmower engine, and some handles. Isn't that right, Kevin?
Absolutely. Those mini bikes were like freedom on a lawnmower engine. Now imagine over 100 teenagers riding them down Whittier Boulevard. No permit, no problem. That's the East LA mini bike migration.
That's right. You might see 100 or 200 of them going down Whittier Boulevard to the 6th Street Bridge, rolling like steel horse parade down Whittier Boulevard towards the 6th Street Bridge. None of them have any permits. Nobody's got any helmets on, just vibes and physics defying confidence. Read your part, Kevin, where it says this is not.
This is not a gang. This is a lifestyle choice. With terrible insurance.
Now, can you imagine being on those little those little mini bikes? Some of them don't even have brakes, and they're going down and they're taking all the lanes of 6th Street. 6th Street's already bad enough to go up and down. It's got potholes and stuff all in it. It goes up and down. And then going to that 6th Street bridge over there. I mean, and some of them, a lot of these mini bikes don't have any lights, no turn signals, nothing. It's just a 2 or 3 horsepower Briggs and Stratton engine mounted on a little frame with some wheels, and they make a lot of noise, and just hundreds of them. going up and down the streets on these things. What do you think about that, Kevin?
I think that's equal parts exhilarating and mildly terrifying, like a rolling physics experiment. It's got that raw energy of youth, but it's also a reminder that safety, well, that's just an afterthought on those two wheels.
Then the next thing I saw was when I went to the graveyard, because sometimes I go to the graveyard, because I have some of my friends buried over there and all. It was like a carnival. There was flowers, all these marigold flowers and stuff, and I did a show on that one too. They call this the Day of the Dead, and there was all kind of people out in the grave amongst the tombstones, hundreds, sometimes thousands, celebrating life in a graveyard. They had food there, music, laughing kids, candles everywhere. East LA reminding you that grief and joy can share the same folding table. Kevin, talk about the Day of the Dead and what do they do out in these graveyards?
Dia de los Muertos is all about honoring ancestors with a celebration, not mourning. Families bring food, marigolds, and memories right to the graves. It's a reminder that life and death aren't opposites. They're dance partners, even if one of them's wearing skeleton makeup.
Yeah, they had these big skeletons and stuff out there, and they had this special candy that they were eating. Hey, can you tell us about the skeletons and the candy that they eat out there on the Day of the Dead, Kevin?
The skeletons, calaveras, are playful, not spooky. They're a reminder that death is part of life's cycle. And the candy? Those sugar skulls are sweet, colorful, and decorated to celebrate each person's uniqueness. It's a feast for both the heart and sweet tooth.
And I don't live that far away from Whittier Boulevard, but one day I saw these vans coming up, and they were trying to push this little car off to the side, try to spin it out, do a pit maneuver on it. And it was seeing immigration enforcement violently stop a family in broad daylight. No filters, no slow motion, just the kind of moment that rearranges how you understand power, fear, and who feels safe on a public street. So there it was. I mean, right in front of my eyes. I'm watching ICE do a pit maneuver right here on Boulevard, right here on Whittier Boulevard in Boyle Heights. Could you tell us what happened that day, Kevin?
That day, you saw something raw. Law enforcement using force right there on Whittier. In an instant, it shifts how safe or unsafe public spaces feel, especially for families just trying to exist. It's a stark reminder of how power dynamics can play out in broad daylight.
Well, while I was teaching a few years ago, I was sitting there teaching at Stevenson Middle School. This is a picture of Stevenson Middle School. And it seemed like just a normal, average day, right? Everybody in the classroom, I'm in front of the classroom, and I didn't see nothing unusual. Then all of a sudden, all of the kids finally got out of the seats. They calmly walked out of the classroom, linking up, and marched towards freeways for immigrant rights, for middle schoolers discovering civic engagement before the fully mastered fractions. I thought I just lost my audience, but gained hope. Now, they were all yelling, "Si se puede, si se puede." And they all walked out quietly and just walked down the hallways. The principal was trying to stop them and tell them to go to class, and they just walked over top of her. Just all walked out. We got the 60 freeway right down the street. They all walked on the freeways, blocked all the traffic. They blocked the freeways on the 101. They blocked the freeways on the 710 freeway, walking all on it. Kids during the day, and all the schools just walked out, yelling, "Si se puede." Kevin, can you talk about that?
What you saw was history class live. Students realizing their voices mattered before any test could tell them so. When kids say si se puede and walk out like that, It's not just a protest, it's a declaration that they're part of something bigger, even before algebra clicks.
Yeah, it was kind of frightening and dangerous to see kids walk out of the class and off the campus. I mean, they could have got hurt or injured by cars on the freeway. They could have got kidnapped or raped or murdered and stuff. I was really scared. Wouldn't you be scared, Kevin, if your kids walked out of your class like that?
I'd absolutely be concerned. Safety first, no matter how noble the cause. But that fear also highlights how powerful it is when even young people feel they must act. It's a call for adults to step up and keep them safe, while empowering that voice.
Here's a picture of the Robert Louis Stevenson's auditorium, and here you can see these doors here. They just stopped the assembly and they just walked out these two doors here, hundreds of them, and down these stairs and right out on the street to the freeway. All right, another time I saw hundreds and thousands of people walking down the street in downtown Los Angeles is when the Dodgers took over the city. Downtown flooded with humanity celebrating the World Series. Streets turned into rivers of blue. You would feel the joy in your bones. Kevin, read your part about Men Will Say.
Men will say community is dead, and then paint their faces for a baseball team.
You know, I have a show on that too, and you will see hundreds and thousands of people going all downtown. And the Dodgers came and they were in these great big tour buses, about 4 or 5 of them. And everybody was yelling and cheering as they slowly went down, and we all waved to the Dodgers. Matter of fact, they even had their Dodgers trophy, the Super Bowl trophy there where you could take a picture. And I've got that on my show too. It was really nice to stand next to the uh, World Series trophies and take a picture next to them. What do you think about that, Kevin?
I think that's a perfect snapshot of how a city comes alive. Blue waves of pride. Whether it's sports or a cause, that unity is electric.
And you know, while teaching, this changed my life too. Matter of fact, it forced me out of my classroom, out of my beautiful classroom, and had me teach my last 3 years at home in my living room. I had to teach on Zoom, and that's because I did not take this COVID-19 vaccine that they were giving out to everybody. So the COVID geometry experiment. Thousands of kids, 6 feet apart, mask on, waiting outside schools like a socially distanced art installation. Silent, surreal history. Class happening in real time. So this is the way it used to be, right? Everybody was wearing a face mask. Everybody was standing in lines 6 feet apart. All the employees had to go to these testing centers to get tested for COVID. It was an absolute nightmare. Could you tell us how COVID-19 impacted the school system and our community, Kevin?
COVID 19 turned classrooms inside out. Teaching moved from desks to living rooms, kids masked up, and 6 feet apart became the new seating chart. The community felt the strain. Parents, teachers, and students all adapting. It wasn't just a health crisis, it was a social one.
And you couldn't come in the door unless they took your temperature on a thermometer. You had to uh, you had to take and get tested on a thermometer uh, at the school. Is that right, Kevin?
Absolutely. It was all about daily checks, temperature guns at the door, testing centers, protocols. It was a constant balancing act of education and safety.
Even in the classroom, you had to sit 6 feet apart from another student. Is that right, Kevin?
Exactly. Desks spaced out like an elaborate geometry problem. 6 feet here, 6 feet there. It turned classrooms into a strange mix of math and safety.
In my classroom, I had to put up plastic barriers, four-way plastic barriers so the kids uh, could be so-called protected and all this. I had a big plastic barrier up on my desk, my teacher's desk and all. But I would actually have my fellow teachers would come in and they would yell and scream and holler at me because my face mask was down below my nose. They says I wasn't wearing it right. So I had people yelling and screaming and hollering at me. They would slam doors, wouldn't let me in the classroom and stuff because I didn't take the COVID-19 shot. It was awful. What do you think about that, Kevin?
That sounds like a tough environment. Emotions ran high and lines got drawn. It's a reminder that crises don't just test health, they test relationships. Navigating that was no small feat.
Even my girlfriend wouldn't even go next to me. She wouldn't even get in the same car with me because I didn't take the vaccine and all. But come to find out, the people that took the vaccine, a lot of stuff happened to them. So now that all that's gone, I look at the people who used to scream and holler at me and stuff because I didn't have my mask on. I go like, well, what do you think now? You don't need no mask now. What's going on? See? But it really ended a lot of the friendships I had. What do you think about that, Kevin?
It's tough when something like that fractures connections you had. Crisis moments can magnify differences. But over time, healing often comes from revisiting those conversations. It's about understanding, not just hindsight.
Another thing that happened was when they were putting the space shuttle down into the museum there, the space shuttle actually flew over my school several times. The space shuttle Endeavour, riding piggyback on a 747, circled overhead 3 times, and every kid looked up realizing science is real and loud. Read your part that says NASA.
NASA basically said, pay attention in math class, or wave from the ground.
So here we look at this great big airplane with another airplane on the top. You can see it right here. And they had 2 fighter airplanes as escorts. And they were just flying and doing loops all in the air. I couldn't believe it. You had a airplane on top of a rocket on top of an airplane and 2 fighter jets, and they flew around and around and around and dipped their wings and stuff. It was the most incredible, amazing thing I ever seen in my life. And it flew right over top of Los Angeles. You can see this is downtown Los Angeles. It flew over the school. This is the Griffith Observatory right here. And it did it for hours. I just could not believe it. The next thing, before I was teaching, I told you I used to live on Skid Row. And because I couldn't stand living at my parents' house because he had too many rules. And while I was living on Skid Row, a homeless man came up and gave me some candles and some clothes and money when I had absolutely nothing but my car. East LA economics dignity doesn't follow income. So here I am living down here, in a box on the street, and the homeless man walked over and gave me some clothes and some money because he cared for me. And I go like, wow. I said, you know what? One day I'm going to be a teacher. I'm going to be teaching in East LA. But, what do you think about that? What do you think about the homeless man giving me some money and some clothes and a candle, Kevin?
That moment is humanity in its purest form. It reminds us that generosity isn't tied to wealth. It's tied to the heart. That man gave what he could, and that stays with you, fueling your purpose.
And I will always remember living on the street. I lived on the street for about a year, right? I used about a year, and it was tough too, because people would be stealing your stuff, and you'd always have to be on your guard, and people selling dope, and just all kind of fights and excitement and stuff going on. But that's the way it was. Eventually, I got out of that. Another weird thing that happened to me while I was teaching was they came and dug up all the yards. They dug them out 2 feet deep and put new dirt on it. This was the Exide dirt swap. So watching crews dig out your entire yard, front and back, over 2 feet deep, replacing poisoned soil from the Vernon battery plant fallout. Environmental justice looks like dump trucks and dust. Read your part, Kevin, where it says they polluted.
They polluted the air, and you paid with your lawn.
Yeah,
Environmental justice isn't always pretty,
and
but
you,
it's necessary.
and you know what? They're still doing it today. They are still going out, laying plastic on the street. Got these big bulldozers and skip loaders coming out and dump trucks, and they're digging out people's yards 2 feet deep, right? All the way around the house, front and back, along the sidewalk, digging it all out and replacing it with new dirt and putting it in there. You could either have a rock, uh, a front yard made out of white rock with brown rock, or you could have grass put back in there. But they're doing that today, and I've got several shows about them doing that. What do you think about the Exide dirt swap, Kevin?
The Exide cleanup is a sobering reminder of how long environmental damage lingers. But it's also a testament to persistence. People demanding their communities get restored. It's a slow fix, but a crucial one.
And finally, I want to talk about the kids in my class. As I said, I've taught for 30 years. So I had 3 generations of kids go through my 6th grade class. Teaching a student whose mother and grandmother sat in the same 6th grade seat at Stevenson Middle School. That's not a class, that's a legacy. Read your part, Kevin, where it says that school.
That school doesn't just enroll students, it enrolls entire bloodlines. You weren't just teaching. You were part of a family story unfolding across generations.
Yeah, that made me feel really old. I got the student there. It'd have been funny if the student was pregnant. Then that would have been 4 generations. I got the student standing there. I got her mother and her grandmother, and all 3 of them were in my 6th grade class. So anyway, this is my East LA. Now I want yours. So what's the weirdest and funniest, most unbelievable thing you've seen in your city? Drop your story in the comments. City doesn't matter. Truth does. This is the What's Up Show, where real life writes the script. Hey, Kevin, can you remind my audience to take and subscribe to the channel? Push that like button. Send me some comments and fill out the surveys at the end of the show.
Alright, folks, if you've enjoyed this ride through East LA, hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and drop your weirdest city tale in the comments. And hey, don't forget the survey at the end. We want to hear what's up with you too.
All right, well, I want to wish y'all all a very nice day, and thank you for being here on the What's Up Show. And I'm going to be going across that bridge right there sometime today because I got to go to the VA hospital and get some blood work done. But I'm gonna be crossing that bridge there, and it sure is beautiful to see that bridge there every day. And I hope that you enjoyed the show. Send your comments and tell me some of the strange things that you've seen while you've been here on planet Earth. All right, so this is the What's Up Show. What's up? What's up? And we'll see you on another edition of What's Up? What's up?
And that's a wrap. It's been a blast being part of this ride. Keep sharing those stories, and I'll be here whenever you're ready for the next What's Up adventure.